everybody knows that Elgr Maja is a giant mythological creature that isn't real. But what if I were to tell you boys that it actually was real?
Nah, I would never go in the ocean again.
Well, today we're checking out a video where Elgr Maja is actually real, and we're gonna find out what it could look like.
In all the depths of the sea, very few monsters rumored to exist could ever compare to the impossible behemoth, the bloop. But one
that's a great white shark that just swallowed easily.
Challenged the lord of the sea monsters on a
Here we
scale never
go.
before
There he
seen.
is.
Today on Goji Center, we dive into the depths to explore this titanic
Hey,
rival
yo.
to the biggest sea monster conjured by the thalassophobic minds of the modern age, exploring its history, speculative biology, and the nightmarish possibility if a bioaccurate version of this animal exists.
Those are blue whales.
And ending with a very
What is that?
anticipated announcement. Goji Center presents Elgr Maja Explained.
I am so excited,
Some of you
boys!
not familiar with
got my
what it is you're
snacks.
looking at here might be wondering where on earth did the legend of this nightmarish horror spring from?
Ew.
After all, it took an ice quake literally heard across an ocean to create the urban legend of the bloop, and sea monsters like the Kraken have had stories for centuries. So, from what depths did this terror spring forth?
Oh my God.
Simple, the most chaotic and wild realm of them all. The internet.
Mariana Trench?
Yes, indeed. Elgr Maja was the brainchild of the modern online age, brought to life by animators like its creator Borisov Blois to make a new take on the classic sea monster formula. Battled other colossals like the bloop and devoured ships and divers alike across hundreds of millions of views, exponentially increasing the number of thalassophobics around the world for years to come. So, before we take a stab at speculating the existence of a bioaccurate rendition of this sea monster, one which technically could exist, let's talk about the myth first. Raw stats. Length 2,214 feet or 674 meters. Jaw span approximately 165 by 250 feet. Tooth
That
length
thing is
more than 49
gargantuan.
feet.
Wait, is it bigger than the bloop?
Way bigger
It's
than the
way
bloop.
longer, yeah. It's like the body of a snake.
That's insane.
A lot of people think that Elgr Maja is bigger and stronger than the bloop.
Its tooth length is 50 feet per tooth. And I think it looks like it has 1,000 teeth. That's insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Total mass 955,798,000
Oh, that's
What?
kilograms.
It's on the lighter
That
side.
being more than 1 million tons.
Oh my gosh.
Elgr Maja definitely lived up to its name.
Oh my
It is
gosh.
a mighty bloop in terms of length and overall
That's like
size,
me
thanks
eating
to
a
body
chicken
over
nugget.
half a kilometer long.
Jack and Alec trying to
Nose
kiss.
tail, this
I was gonna say, it's pretty funny how they fight. They kind of fight by going up and trying to give each other a smooch, but like a really aggressive one. They're like, I'm gonna get ya. Ah.
That's like every sea creature ever, because they can't really do anything with their arms or their fins. I guess they could tail whip, but yeah, that's not gonna do any damage.
Leviathan dwarfs most other serpentine kaiju, being more than double as long as
Whoa,
Titanus,
wow.
Tiamat, and Manda, while being many times heavier. With
That looks like the
teeth
turd
longer
that
than
came out of my
Godzilla's
butt this
head
morning.
and jaw span wide enough to fit him and Kong inside, Elgr Maja would be a force to be reckoned with in almost any cinematic
That's
universe,
terrifying.
and could be considered a living natural disaster.
It definitely is
on
bigger
its
than
own.
Bloop.
As
Sheesh.
mentioned already, volumetric analysis shows that this thing might weigh well over 1 million tons.
How does it
If
feed
crashed
itself?
out, swam at the shore, or even just simply made a sharp turn near the coast, it would cause a tsunami.
Nah.
There's a good reason why when it and the bloop noticed each other, everyone involved wisely chose to do two things: stay out of the way and let them fight.
Dude, a bloop versus Elgr Maja would cause like the biggest tsunami in the world. Every single time they clash together, that would cause a huge wave that would just butterfly effect.
Exactly. Just picture it like this. Adam and Alec are in a hot tub, and they're wrestling each other to the death. Most of the water is going to come out of the hot tub by the end, which is basically like these two battling out in the ocean. All of the water is going to come onto the land from the tsunamis.
You forgot to mention that we would be hot and sweaty while this happens.
And
Well,
we'd
yeah,
be,
that was implied.
Yeah, and we'd be attacking with our mouths, similar to the bloop and Elgr Maja.
Right. 25,000 likes, and we'll make that happen.
More like 25 likes.
Thankfully for thalassophobes everywhere, something like this could never exist in our more mundane world. One of the
That's
reasons
good.
you don't see sea monsters like this
He's
rolling
lying.
about even in the fossil record is food. As viewers might recall in our bloop analysis video, everything has to eat, and everything needs calories to keep going.
Thermodynamic
Whereas the bloop
laws
is like
of
a whale,
thermos.
its rival more resembles a fish like an eel.
Oh my
Most
gosh.
fish are cold-blooded and don't need to eat nearly as much as mammals do, since they don't need to burn energy constantly to heat their bodies.
I know that it's not very related to what we're watching, it kind of is, but like it just goes to show how incredibly rare like a blue whale actually is, considering that it's warm-blooded because it's a mammal, and two, it eats like the smallest amount of food, but it has to eat like so much every single day for it to actually stay alive. It's insane.
It would be like Alec only eating spinach. Like, you know how much spinach you'd have to eat to fuel that body?
You're gonna make me throw up. Don't even say that. Can we use some different food?
Okay, carrot. Let's do baby carrots.
No, I don't like that either.
Skittles.
Okay, that's better. I like Skittles.
You know how many Skittles you'd have to eat in a day for you to actually like conserve, actually run your body? Every one of those Skittles is like a minnow to the whale. Like the... But imagine that times 1,000. That is the Elgr GRAN MAJA.
Right. They just swim with their mouth open, and whatever swims in there is what they eat. I don't think they actually care.
It's literally a video game. It's like 1 billion Skittles.
Exactly they need to eat can fluctuate a lot depending on where they live and how often they move around. To help you understand that not all underwater predators eat as much as you think, here's a fun little fact for you. Greenland sharks and great white sharks can get to around the same size, but hunt and live very differently. Greenland sharks are cold-blooded and live in cold water, moving and acting slowly over an extremely long lifespan. A study from 2022 showed that they can get by on a fraction of the calories that a great white needs.
It was like a
but
missile.
The greatest of the great whites with a hotter-blooded metabolism and constantly moving around still need a fraction of the fuel a mammal needs. Another study by David C. Burnvey found that the amount of food a great white shark needs per kilogram of mass actually decreases with size. The bigger the shark, the easier time it had stockpiling food and traveling against water resistance.
Wow, how about
massive
that?
shark like Deep Blue only needs around 4.5 calories of food per kilogram of mass.
Okay, what
That's
about humans?
5 to 8 times less than a human needs per
Wow.
kilo. And they
We
call
are so
sharks
Whoa.
voracious eating machines. Back to Elgr GRAN MAJA, though,
Let's go.
we can see in the video that it is a pretty active predator. So
Wait a second. So are we saying that Alec and Adam on a daily basis probably eat more than a shark? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, because it's 8 times, and they're not 8 times heavier than us. So
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
technically, yeah.
They're not?
A shark? No.
A great white shark.
Yeah, look it up.
I'm pretty sure they gotta be.
Alec, it's very possible that you eat just as much, if not more, than a great white shark every single day.
Great white sharks are 2,000 pounds, boys.
That's pretty good.
It says 1,500 to
Wait,
2,400.
1,500, yeah.
To 2,400, so I took the middle number.
What are you right now?
235.
Yeah.
335?
235.
Oh, shoot, dude. Oh my gosh, that would have been crazy.
So on the lower end, you could eat more than a great white shark. On average, you probably eat the same.
The Greenland shark that they were talking about only needs 250 calories per day.
Nah, that's insane.
Seriously,
Anorexic.
yeah.
That dude is anorexic.
It said that great white sharks, on the other hand, need like 3,000 to 5,000 on average per day.
Okay, I definitely I eat that much, yeah.
A Panera cookie is 800 calories. They
Of
would
course you
literally
know that.
need. They would
Of
literally
course you
only
know
need
that.
1/4 of that a day.
Of course you know that.
They could get an entire week with just one cookie.
Wow.
Insomnia cookies like 2,000.
So you could eat more than a great white shark if you really put your mind to it.
They can't even eat a slice of cake. They're going over their caloric.
All right, we get it. Oh my gosh, let's go back to Elgr GRAN MAJA. Why are we talking about great white
Stop talking.
sharks? The video is GRAN MAJA.
I'm gonna start calling it Alec Elgr GRAN MAJA.
That's actually facts. I want to know how many calories they have to eat.
Great
All right,
white
let's
metabolism
go.
Makes the most sense to give us an idea of how much this monster eats. The results yield a staggering number of almost 700 million calories in a day just to make If you were to watch the last video talking about the bloop, you'll realize that this is a fraction of the amount the mammalian bloop needs, but still an astronomical amount.
Okay, all right, real quick. I need to look up how many calories would a blue whale.
I actually just looked it up. So blue whales consume 3 million calories per day.
But how
for
much
real?
calories is a
Yes.
blue whale? Like if you eat a whole one?
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I was
know
looking up.
the math on that.
Because maybe they only have to eat like 1 or 2 blue whales a day. They could do that probably.
Elephants eat 70,000 calories per day.
A blue whale contains roughly 291,000 calories. Oh wait, sorry, 291 million. My bad. I was all below.
Okay, so they only have to eat like 4.
Wait, what was it? 700 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to eat 3 a day. That's actually not that bad.
That's actually, yeah, that's not bad at all.
All right.
Maha, however, is typically found in more tropical waters around the equator, such as the Caribbean islands. Whales here don't even get half as big as the larger blue whales in the Antarctic Ocean due to factors like less food and needing to travel often. Daily, El Gran Maja would need to scarf down 10 humpback whales and still have room for more.
What?
If snacking on humans, the number is even more extreme.
7,000.
Don't want to know that.
Contains 125,822 calories, if eaten.
Okay.
This means El Gran Maja would need to wolf down and perfectly digest around 5,200 people daily. And if this still sounds
I am not going into the ocean ever again.
There's another issue. Arguably the biggest problem when you take something like this into reality is not eating, but getting to eat. The biggest problem that something like El Gran Maja might face is how it swims. Slithering back and forth in the water like a worm or sea snake is called anguilliform propulsion. Great for maneuverability, terrible at propulsion. The side-to-side shifting wastes a lot of energy and speed. Couple that with the infamous grin on this monster, full of big, empty, forward-facing pockets next to the teeth, and a predator bound by reality would have a hard time building up or maintaining speed.
Isn't that what
enough
every
to
fish
catch
does?
worthwhile prey.
Yeah, but he's saying that this thing is too big in order for it to be efficient. It's not going to be efficient at all because it's too big and it's going like this, which uses up a lot of extra energy.
No, it's moving like it doesn't have fins, Adam. It's like a snake. It's not doing this motion like a dolphin or like a shark.
Okay, so dolphins go like this, but a lot of fish go like this.
Yeah, but they have fins, Adam. This one's like a snake. Think of a snake in the water.
There's some fast snakes in the water.
They're fast, but they're not very efficient. He's saying that it's more efficient if you have like fins to help propel your body, but this guy's got no fin.
Okay, you guys are good. You guys are really smart.
Why a high-speed pursuit predator like the mako shark employs the thuniform swimming method. With a stiffer body and flexible tail for propulsion, this animal can move faster and
You just
easier
know
than
his
an
poops
animal
are
with
solid.
the same anatomy as the Gran Maja. So, basically,
definitely
an
not.
animal like El Gran Maja, even if it could grow to be this big, wouldn't be able to sustain itself easily.
my God.
Especially if it has to move like this while being able to grow at this scale.
The thing is
this
fucked.
makes us think, what if across the seas of space and time, nature tried to engineer a nightmarish horror that fit the bill for
Why?
this celebrity creature?
Okay.
Well, turns out something similar on a much smaller scale did once exist in the past.
No.
And even has some uncanny families
No.
still around
The
today.
eels?
If
The
taken
worm.
to the absolute extreme with perfect conditions,
It is an eel.
the seas might well turn red from a giant maw. Cyclostomi.
Whoa.
These
Ew.
fish are some of the most ancient vertebrates.
Alec as a fish.
It's just not me at all.
Is that thing like a bottom feeder? That you think it latches on to bigger fish and then like sucks them dry like a Capri Sun?
Yes, this is where they got vampires from.
Vertebrates
I'll order
to
one.
ever exist. With
They don't- I don't think they
meat-shredding
exist anymore.
hagfish and blood-sucking lampreys
like a
being
leech.
two modern examples. Far back in the
okay, yeah,
ancient
it is a
oceans,
leech.
one of their cousins became some of the most successful fish to ever exist. Conodonts are a whole lineage of jawless fish that roamed the seas in huge numbers for nearly
was
300 million years. With possibly the sharpest teeth to ever exist, taking one of these and allowing evolutionary natural processes and mutations to do their work would be a good start. In our own world, conodonts
Nah,
died
that's
out
okay.
shortly after the end of the Triassic period. Not long after one of the top 5 biggest mass extinctions of all time that wiped out the greatest marine reptiles ever. But in this scenario, a few of these razor-toothed predators got a stroke of luck. This right here will be the ancestor of our speculative bioaccurate Gran Maja. They would start out with a
Okay.
very flexible body and minimal fins, just like other conodonts and their modern kin like
Sick.
lampreys and hagfish. Great for fitting in crevices and swimming at moderate size as filter feeders and small predators. But as these carnivores started targeting bigger game and traveling longer distances, some things will inevitably change. Swimming the seas in the way these small creatures do will not work too well for an animal that's really big. This is why we don't have extraordinarily large whales and sharks shaped like this. So as these
Right.
predatory conodonts
Okay.
grew in size, their form had to be gradually restructured. Over time, these deep-sea
Interesting.
predators
They're-
would have
they're gonna
evolved
go like
special
this.
muscles that flex and stiffen the front half of the body. This would keep their heads straight when swimming to cut through the water easier with less wasted energy rocking side to side. Larger fins
Okay,
on the
it's like a
tail increase
catfish.
propulsion, and ridges on the head
Kinda
evolved
looks like a
to
stingray.
extend to the sides and stiffen.
Yeah, actually.
This not only gives our beast the iconic shape of El Gran Maja's head, but
Okay.
it gives a practical use in steering. Like the fins on a manta ray, tilting and shifting, these can help the apex predator turn on a dime and quickly redirect its
Whoa.
head.
Whoa.
Over time, these animals would adapt to swim using the Carangiform method, a halfway point between the two prior methods.
Who comes
discussed.
up with these names?
This is good for balance of flexibility and
scientist.
bursts of speed. But to grow larger and to help it in pursuit or ambushes, it will have to develop something called pseudo-siphons. Similar to the
What are
jet
those?
propulsion used by a squid, a trait
Hey,
not
yeah.
usually seen in fish, but having a real-world biological basis. Unlike other
What?
fish which manually pump water in and out of themselves with their mouth, lampreys have specialized muscles controlled with synchronized commands from the brain. Water is pulled in and pushed out through the pores in
Whoa.
a steady pace. These vampiric predators use this
They're like
to help
jet
breathe
boosters.
even while feeding on their bloody meals. For our currently evolving Bioaccurate
Okay.
GRAN MAJA, a more specialized, refined version of this trait will help out in filter feeding, and then was taken to the next step with all the water being directed out in one output instead of multiple.
Dude, he's gonna get a speed boost.
It's getting real scary. This is turning into like full-on nightmare fuel.
He got a lot scarier.
Nature's actually super scary the more that you look into it. Also, I've been thinking this the entire time. Do you guys think that that fish knew it was really ugly? It was like, oh man, I'm hideous. Oh, God.
It was like people before mirrors were invented. Like they had no idea.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows what they look like.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to put it out there in case any of those things are watching right now. You're hideous. And I don't like you. Thanks, guys.
Focused out of a flexible cartilage nozzle on a swivel, quick bursts of movement out one side or the other. What first evolved
That
to
feels
help
like
with
cheating.
breathing has been adapting and retrofitted to help out with propulsion. But how can an animal like this evolve adaptations that are similar to animals like squid, despite
I
being
don't
a
know.
completely different animal class?
I wish humans had
Simple.
that.
This would be another of the many classic cases of convergent evolution, where
Wait,
unrelated
wait.
life forms confronted with the same problems develop similar solutions.
Yes.
Literally the same reason why
Oh.
dolphins and sharks have streamlined bodies and fins despite being in two completely different animal groups. In this case, our Bioaccurate GRAN MAJA sucks water rapidly through the mouth and extra gill ports before being redirected
dirty boy.
and shot out of the
That is
siphons.
awesome.
Perfect for rapidly lunging out to grab
that's
prey
crazy.
and sucking in plankton and schools of fish into the maw. Elgr Maha, as
Oh
the
my
urban
gosh.
legend has
Behind
it,
you.
has a pretty frightening maw. Well, it just so happens that the likely ancestor of our speculative GRAN MAJA may have a more or less more frightening set of teeth. Depending
Okay.
on what you consider scary.
It actually looks like the bottom of a blender. Like that's terrifying.
Yeah, it does. And I'm pretty sure that the creature that it's basing it on has the sharpest teeth of any creature ever.
Yeah, you think that because he said that already, right?
Exactly.
Oh.
Right, okay.
Okay.
He didn't come up with that one, Adam.
Okay.
No, I did, Adam.
That was pretty cool, Jack.
The ancestor of this animal would have been the Panderidus, sporting multiple rows of retractable, finely serrated fangs.
Ugly.
instead
You're
of
ugly.
True jaws. These teeth
That
and
one's
the
pretty cute.
interior skeleton are actually synthesized from minerals
Ew.
filtered out of the seawater, adding extra strength to their structure. Over time, this maw
Go
would
to
have
a
remained
dentist.
Similar. But as this animal evolves into gargantuan proportions, and as it latched onto larger prey,
Oh
these
my
fangs would
gosh.
reach frighteningly large sizes. Helping
Illegal
it filter large
Pokemon
swaths of
evolution.
fish
Somebody's
and
gotta get that
krill,
checked.
And if the opportunity knocks, it can latch onto and then stab into larger game with an extra deadly trick
I don't
to
like the
call
Elgr
upon.
Maha anymore.
We'll reveal this
go to
trick
the
soon,
dentist.
But at this point, we have covered enough of this animal's ancestry to introduce Bioaccurate
Don't do
GRAN
it.
Maja's true form.
Oh God.
Wow.
Ladies and gents, we present
I don't wanna see this
Colossahydrus
thing.
uctena, named after the horned serpent of
Whoa.
Charon.
Oh my gosh.
Ew.
Pestilence with its breath and
How's it
shining
glowing?
eerie lights.
I like the glowing
This
parts.
jawless fish evolved to resemble characteristics of its urban legendary counterpart, and we're about to see how.
Oh my gosh.
Measuring a possible length
Oh!
of up to 200 feet with a
Whoa.
mouth gape of up to
Okay, wait, this thing's only 200 feet. The Elgr Maha is expected to be 2,000 feet.
Right, but they were saying earlier in the video that it's like physically not possible for it to be that big. It can't be 2,000 feet because it can't eat enough food in a day.
I guess you're right.
Imagine seeing this though, bro. I know you're saying like, oh, it's puny now, but look, you can see the little tiny human in the bottom left. Or I guess it's kind of still in the middle of the screen. Look how tiny that person is compared to the 200-foot monster. If you saw that, you would poop your pants.
That thing is 100 feet longer than a blue whale, which is only 100 feet. This is the brand new biggest animal on planet Earth.
By far, and it's disgusting looking. I don't know if I said this already, but it is hideous.
I would try to go into one of its 18 holes.
What do you do after? It's just gonna shoot you out with jet propulsion.
Yeah, it's like a water slide.
by 22 feet, its largest teeth measuring up to 10 feet, and backed up by a mass of up to 260 tons.
Jeez.
For senses
reminds me
for
of
both
something that
shallow
you would
and
see in
deep water,
Subnautica.
the Colossahydrus comes sporting not 2, but 4 acute eyes for picking up light and shapes at a distance. This might seem bizarre, but several types of fish have the same sensing
Spiders
organs
have 8.
developed from the brain that function
Wow.
just like extra eyes. This apex predator also can detect sense and water pressure changes with the elongated tentacles coming from its face.
Oh
And
my
like
gosh.
many deep water fish,
No.
this can manipulate a protein
No.
called luciferin, allowing it to light up parts of its body.
Lucifer,
to
that's the
confuse or
devil.
attract prey to it. Now we can discuss the trick we mentioned before.
It probably can't eat a blue whale now because it's only twice the size.
Adam, did you see the mouth on that thing? Even if it can't eat it in one single bite, it can latch on and then it can just suck the life out of the blue whale.
Okay.
Once biting into a prey animal, let's say an overly
Here we
curious
go.
sperm whale foolish enough to swim too close, this predator
idiot!
has grooved
Got him.
teeth.
There he
tried
goes.
to-
He's doing
Wait,
the
did
thing.
you guys see the whale? I gotta replay that. The whale tried to attack it with its head.
Sperm whale foolish enough to swim too close, this predator has grooved teeth.
What was
able to
that?
direct a potent
I think it
Didn't
tried
see
to
that at
attack.
all.
Oh, I thought it was like going in for a head bang. Like,
I'm pretty sure the sperm whale was doing the weird thing that we don't understand, where it is like fully vertical in the ocean, and they all hang out like that.
there's
I don't
definitely
think it
like
tried to
What's up,
fight.
Steve?
there's definitely one like special whale in the ocean that doesn't swim right. It like swims like this.
Yeah, then they die instantly.
Yeah, it's called You on the Beach.
Oh, you made it sad.
venom into prey. This trait
Now
is
he's got
reminiscent
venom.
of some prehistoric conodonts.
This
with
is
a
not fair
different
anymore.
kind of chemical weapon also seen in modern-day lampreys. This keeps
Right.
the blood of a victim from clotting easily, leading to catastrophic
Yup.
blood loss.
It's a leech.
Large
That is a
predators often hunt down
ginormous
large game
gargantuan
using ambush
giga leech.
tactics, attacking from
Got
below
him.
upon detecting an unsuspecting victim.
do you not expect
Sharks,
that?
mammals, marine reptiles, and other species of fish all use this same hunting methodology. Similarly, as the Colossahydrus's ancestor evolved, it would have adopted this same hunting methodology. Millions of years later,
my
this
gosh.
animal now hunts whales in the exact same way, leveraging its pseudosiphons to give
think
it a
whales would
quick
go
burst of
extinct.
speed. Colossahydrus could rapidly ambush from below and leave a grievous wound. Even if the prey managed to flee, its predator would never stop chasing it. However, all big animals do not start out that way, and the young would be vulnerable to many natural predators like sharks. That is, if they didn't have another defense to call upon. The closely related hagfish are sometimes called slime eels for a reason. With specific pores embedded in the skin, these fish can release a fibrous slime when they are attacked.
Okay, do you guys like the original Elgr Maha better than this thing?
I think the original was less scary than this. This is actually way more terrifying. Like watching someone's POV of a turd coming out of their butt. What is this? What is happening right here?
It's one of the silky eels that they were just talking
This is
about. or whatever.
disgusting. Why is this on my screen? What is happening?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this one is less deadly, right? Because it's only 200 feet long. Elgr Maha, the original, is 2,000 feet long, which is way bigger. I don't know which one I want.
But there's probably, if it was the giant one, there's probably only one of them in the entire world. If it's a 200-foot one, there's probably 1,000 of them that are all over the ocean. I think that's scarier, personally, than having one big one.
I'm scared of a great white shark and they're only 6 feet.
definitely bigger than that.
When they're babies, yeah.
Similarly, as the Pandaridus began to take form as the Colossahydrus ancestor, the individual specimens that began developing a mucus-like slime began fending off predators successfully. These would
Same.
reproduce and pass on the traits necessary to fend off predators even better, preserving their lineage. This
just
slime
gets
can
uglier and
expand
uglier.
10,000 times their original volume in less than half a second, gumming up the gills and teeth of attackers. Given this animal's sheer
now he
size and
leaks
volume,
mucus.
this
What a
means
gross
most
thing.
Attackers like parasitic fish wouldn't even bother trying to bite Colossahydrus
No.
even when it goes through hibernation cycles. This is an invaluable asset to have in a fight against another large predator as they grow. Living mostly in tropical and subtropical water around deep-sea trenches, Colossahydrus would mostly spend its time switching back and forth between filter feeding in the water column, resting at the barren bottom during lean times, and hunting large game at the surface at night.
That's
During
when
the
I
bountiful
stay
times of
indoors
year,
at
these
night.
predators spawn near the infamous Sargasso Sea, vast
guy's
flowing
making up
mats of
words.
wet seaweed full of plankton and fish spawn to feed on. Now note, an animal this big would be extremely rare, even
Whoa.
given all their adaptations. It is likely that this creature would produce tiny offspring with only a minuscule fraction of these surviving to
Okay, who's reproducing with this thing? Let's be honest.
Other Elgr Mahas, Adam, just like every other animal.
Absolutely not. They are not. No.
Well, they want to keep the lineage going on. They want more Elgr Mahas, Adam.
No. This thing would die out
Sometimes you
quick.
gotta do what you gotta do, Adam.
Elgr Maha is
You gotta
very
take one for the
beautiful
team.
to other Elgr
Alex,
Mahas,
no.
Adam.
Okay, I'm in.
Grow more than a meter long. An even rarer few with indeterminate growth, where a species never stops growing, and negligible senescence, where aging does not deteriorate their body, could break
What?
5 meters or so as apex predators.
Yep.
In most cases,
That's so
this
OP.
might be as big as they'd usually get. Certain predator species like Humboldt squid have built-in mechanisms to mature quicker and smaller during times of scarcity, trading in raw power
that's
for
pretty cool.
survivability. This might be one reason why these primordial predators survived as they did in this scenario, surviving major extinction events at a small size and then rebounding when abundance returns.
I like that strategy.
And when conditions are perfect, 1 in a million of these sea serpents, perhaps even just 1 in a billion, can become true colossal sea dragons.
Do you guys think that if Charles Darwin saw one of these, like, would he continue his research?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think so. I think he would see that and be like, wow, this is amazing. Because he's probably a freak, you know?
Yeah, he definitely is a freak.
He probably loves that
He's a little
stuff.
freaky deaky.
That probably got him going, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I guess maybe, yeah. I mean, this is like the ultimate thing that evolution could ever create.
It's the ultimate evolution!
I will name it Elgr Maha!
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, just check it.
It is an even rarer event mankind might ever glimpse such a titan. In a world with this primordial of the seas, the Bermuda Triangle might have a whole new
Way to
reason
escape
for
that one, boys.
shipwrecks. And who knows, given the incrementing global temperatures and deep water pollution, this animal may have to move further southward and hunt more at the surface, bringing
okay.
it into conflict with both humans and perhaps
Nope,
another
not going to the
apex
ocean.
predator of
The
dark,
bloop.
gargantuan size.
Wait a second, does that mean they're gonna upload a video of Bioaccurate Bloop versus Bioaccurate Elgr Maha? Is this gonna happen?
I think so.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want us to watch that, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss it, and click right here if you missed out what the bloop would look like.